And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Hope everyone's having a fabulous night or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are and where you're watching this from. I got my good buddy John back on the show. And today's theme, if you saw the title of the video, is we're going to talk about building a home business that's online. And I think it's quite important now. It's quite topical considering everyone's on lockdown. In Toronto over here, the mayor just came out and said, hey, we're canceling all public events, all permits, anything to do with outside events until June 30th.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So it's like, shit. I mean, all event businesses are fucked. End of story.
Yeah.
That affects everybody else. Like, for example, my wife's a naturopath. She can't work. Like, yeah, your business is closed.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to do leaps and bounds into the online space over here. And age has been everything. You know, before I got into crypto, like years ago, I had an e-commerce business in underwear, textile, with my brother and some other partners. And primarily our business was in Asia. We bought raw materials from Guangzhou, shipped it to Toronto, Kingsborough factory, made the materials here, but shipped it back over there and sold it at a premium, made in Canada kind of stamp. And Asia is a whole different beast, man. It's like 90% plus all commerce on the phone.
Oh yeah. That's crazy.
All commerce. Huh? It's everything there. Like if you go on WeChat, you pay for your hydro bill there. You pay for your old bills. You can get a mortgage. You can get everything. It's a whole universe on WeChat. So they're accustomed to purchasing everything on the phone. But what I want to talk about, John, you've successfully built multiple businesses, different forms of online businesses. Each of them has their pros and cons. Each of them has their different kind of, let's say, quirks and skill set that you need. And so what I want to kind of lay out today is like tell people what you've built, and then let's talk about things or action steps that people can take to kind of, I would say, kind of mimic it. You know, there's a saying, Picasso had this saying, it's like, good artists copy, great artists steal. Well, if there's a formula that works, fucking use that formula.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Even Van Gogh. I went to his the museum, the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and it was, you know, one of the things, like he copied all these great works initially, and then he got good, and then he made his own
totally,
things.
man.
But
yeah,
for sure. All right.
So what was one of the first businesses that you started for the online space?
Yeah, so I think actually the very first thing that I did online was I had and it didn't do super well, but it was like my first foray of making foray. What is it? Foray? I'm thinking of the word. I don't know the word. Into making money online was actually a Palm Pilot application. So I threw up a website. I had a Palm Pilot. It was a Magic the Gathering life counter that would run on your Palm Pilot. And this was back before there was like selling things online. Like I literally had to create a Perl script to actually integrate with PayPal to like accept payment. And that was sort of the first thing that I had built online, and just got kind of the taste for it. And it was kind of interesting because I was like, wow, I can actually have a website and people will give me money. And overnight, well, I remember, you know, waking up and there was like $15 in my account, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is insane. But the real, you know, the first real company that I built was Simple Programmer. And that really was just initially started out, I wasn't even planning on building a business. I was just creating a personal blog as a software developer. And it started to grow. I got some traffic on there, and I started getting some different opportunities just by marketing myself, just by having the blog out there. And eventually, you know, I got to this point where I remember thinking at one point, I was like, wow, you know, I wasn't even thinking about making this a business. I was just like, I had some advertising revenue that I had gotten from there. And I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if I could make like $1,000 a month on this blog, and it would pay for its server, for the hosting, and it would pay half of my mortgage? That'd be insane, right? And I reached that point basically not really knowing what I was doing, just putting some ads on there, and then through Amazon affiliate links. And then, you know, from there, what ended up happening was, as the traffic grew, and one of my buddies was like, hey, you got to get an email list. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you got to like put up pop-ups on your website and collect people's email addresses. And I'm like, no, that's silly. Why would I?
What year was this at?
This was like, what was this, like, I want to say 2011. Yeah, probably 2011, right? So finally he convinced me, I was like, all right, fine, I'll throw a pop-up on there. I get my pop-up on there. I get about, I end up getting over the next few months or so about 3,000 or so email addresses. So I've got this list and I'm sending emails to the list, and then I end up, creating this. Actually, what we ended up doing was I was with this group, which I still run, a mastermind, which is a podcast called Entreprogrammers. And it was a couple of us developers that were kind of starting businesses. And we had this challenge, this 24-hour entrepreneur challenge that we came up with to make $100 online in 24 hours. Like, the whole idea behind the challenge was like, let's say that you're like dropped in the jungle with a knife. That's it. Like, can you survive? So we couldn't use our email list. We couldn't use our websites. We had to just like figure out, okay, just go build something, figure out some way to get people to buy it and make $100 at least online. And so what I ended up doing was I was thinking about building a course for this the Simple Programmer company on how to market yourself as a software developer. And so I said, well, you know what? I'll pre-sell the course, and I couldn't sell it to my list, and I couldn't sell it to advertise on my website. So I created a brand new website, and I made a sales page for it, and I basically set up a checking cart, a cart to checkout system to be able to buy this. And I submitted an article to Hacker News on how to market yourself as a software developer. It kind of ranked up in there, and I started getting some traffic from there, and ended up selling I think about $675, whatever it was, like around $600 to $700 worth of the pre-sale on this product. And that's when the light bulb turned on. And then I was like, wait a minute, if these people that don't even know me are willing to pay $75 for this thing, then maybe I've got a business here. So what I ended up doing was, over the next week or so, I built out the product, built out the course, and I was going to launch it for $100. But then, one of my friends who was a little bit more experienced, at least had sold some things, said, that's too cheap. You should sell for $300. And I thought, no way, no one's going to pay $300 for a course, right? And so I ended up pricing at $300, but then doing a launch sale for $100 off for for $199. Ended up, it was crazy because I turned this on, I sent out the email, right? Did the whole email launch campaign, and I'm sitting there waiting, and an hour goes by, and there's no sales, and I was like, oh shit! I knew this was gonna happen, right? And then all of a sudden, about an hour later, the first sale comes in. And then 5 minutes later, second sale comes in, and then it's I remember going out to dinner that night, right? At this nice steak restaurant, because at this point, $7,000 had come in, and I'm looking at my phone and I'm just seeing PayPal, and it's bam, bam, bam. I'm starting to get orders every minute at that point, and I ended up closing out with $25,000 on that sale from the email list of just 3,500 people, and that's when really it became a business. That's when I started to really focus on and started to say, wait a minute, I've got something here. This is actually a business.
And so Simple Programmer, if people are wondering, the revenue model is online courses is the primary way that you generate revenue with that?
So I've got actually, I can actually do this. I will even just pull up my QuickBooks here, because I think that's probably the easiest way to see how I make money with the business and how it's divided up here. I should be able to share my screen, I think. I like to be pretty transparent with all my business stuff here. So let me see here. Okay, we'll do
not like all these other fake gurus, huh? I'll teach you how to start a business. I'm like, all right, dude, what business have you started? Wow, error, can't compute.
Exactly. So yeah, I will just show you exactly. Let's see if we can. This comes up here. All right. So can you see it, or is it? I think you got to click on the screen share. There we go. Okay. So, is it doing my whole screen? I guess there's probably no way to. Oh, unless I can do it from just an application.
Yeah, I think you can do application. Yeah.
Let me try that again. All right. Where is it? Here. Okay. Stop screen, share screen. Oh, there we go. Application. Okay. Here we go. Okay. I think that should be better. Try that. Okay. So yeah, so you can see it's kind of divided up. I I account for the four main areas in which we generate revenue. So one of it is just advertising revenue, right? So there's some sponsorship, right? This would be through the newsletter sponsorship, or some web advertising on there, but mostly newsletter sponsorship or podcast or YouTube video sponsorship within here. And then with affiliate revenue, we still generate some affiliate revenue from Amazon, Bluehost, Thrive Themes, and then we do affiliate promotions with a lot of partners on the email list. That's actually one of the main ways that I generate revenue with the business now. And then, of course, there's product revenue selling.
I'll pause there. So one thing, I want to focus on one thing. I always tell people, if they haven't gotten into online businesses that don't have any marketing chops, start off in affiliate marketing. Like how I started off back in the day, it was eons ago, was ClickBank.
Yeah.
And then my buddy was showing me how much money he's making. And I'm like, but based on my past, I was hustling. I get it. So I got to drive people here and I get a clip. I get a percentage. I don't have to worry about the product. I don't have to worry about the back end. I don't have to worry about nothing. My job is to just drive traffic there. That's it. And it's like a great way for people to, like, no risk. You can go on ClickBank right now or any of these other networks, a million of them, pick a product, go on Facebook, go on Twitter, make a Facebook group, make whatever LinkedIn group, and you can start putting your referral link and just driving traffic that way, then understanding how these funnels work while having no risk to you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great way. I mean, and one of the things that I kind of advise people to do is you can always test something out. Let's say you build an audience around something. Because traffic is key. If you've got traffic, that's the thing that you need. Like, product doesn't matter, marketing doesn't matter. Those things are replaceable, and you can get those things. But traffic is the primary thing, right? Especially if you've got organic traffic around a subject matter. So you got your traffic, and then instead of creating your own product, what you can do is you can just go out there and find an affiliate product that fits that. And if it sells really well, then you can go and create your own product and just replace it right in the funnel where you just put your product at the end instead of the affiliate
Peter
product.
Thiel's number one rule of business is distribution. It's not the product.
Exactly. Yeah. Product, it's kind of funny. One of the things that, I teach all my coaching clients, and a lot of people don't like it when I say it. It sounds really weird when I say this, but their marketing and the product are completely separate things, and the product doesn't matter. So literally you could sell people a box of dog crap, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect your sales. Your marketing is the only thing that affects your sales. And I'm not suggesting that you sell people junk or that you create a bad product. Like, you should give people the only thing the product controls is two things: refund rate and referral rate. That's it. So you see what I'm saying? Everything up to that point is all marketing, right? And so I try to separate those two things out in my head, because if you don't, then you start to think the fallacy that most people from my background, right, software developers, they think if they develop really good software, a really good product, that they will have a good business. And it's completely false. The product can be complete crap. The product doesn't matter at all. What matters is the marketing, is the distribution. Like you said, it's like you have to have traffic and you have to have the marketing. You have to have the ability to sell it. And then hopefully you deliver a good product, which means that people won't refund it and that people will refer it. But ultimately, the product has no influence on the actual sales of the company, which is, and we see this historically, right, from everything from VCRs with the beta format and what ended up happening with VCRs, and a lot of the other superior products that ended up getting destroyed in the marketplace because they had inferior advertising. So all right, so let's see. So I guess I'll move on here. So next one is product revenue. So this is the digital products, right? This is actually selling courses, online courses, and that's was my main revenue source for Simple Programmer. That's kind of died off.
Are you selling the courses are you self-hosting? Are you using something like Thinkific? Like, how are you delivering this?
So right now with Simple Programmer, I'm using WooCommerce, so I'm self-hosting it. Now, I would not recommend going that route. Originally, the reason why I did that is because I thought I wanted to customize it, and I really wanted to have one-click upsells and to be able to customize that whole process. But what I'm finding is it's not worth the hassle. And then even with WooCommerce, what ends up happening is a lot of the plugins you use end up having yearly subscriptions anyway, so you're not really getting it for free. So it's probably better to use something like, if I were starting up today, I would probably just use something like Teachable or Podia or Kajabi. I'm using Kajabi for Bulldog
Kajabi's
Mindset.
great. Yeah, there's Kajabi, Podia, Teachable, Thinkific, even ClickFunnels. There's a shit ton of options.
Yeah. There's no need for you to like control that. Just pay whatever the small fee is. In fact, I think what's the one Thrivecart, you can pay once like $600 and you can have access to it for
Lifetime.
life. So
yeah.
So, but yeah, so we got product revenue here, and then part of that is book. So I sell a book, Complete Software Developer Career Guide, and I sell like the print, the Kindle, and the audio version of that, and then there should be and then there's royalties. I'm not sure where. Maybe there wasn't any royalties paid. Let me switch it to like last year. It's probably what I should have done anyway. But yeah, so I mean, you can kind of see how it breaks down. This is probably a better reflection of how things, advertising, affiliate revenue actually makes up a bulk of or almost a bulk, but I guess product revenue just barely beats it out. But and then there's royalties, right? So that's kind of the four areas that I think of when I think of online business. I think of advertising, affiliate, your own products, and then royalties or licensing.
And so for the 1 second, when you got here, the advertising, let's go back to, because let's touch base on the traffic. So for people listening, so I want to kind of summarize this. Affiliate is a model. So people wondering, you drive traffic, you get a commission. Think of you as a salesperson, you get commission. Then we had a product. You create your own product and you sell it. That's 100% commission that you get. Obviously, it comes with more problems. You need customer support. You have to deal with refunds. You have to deal with the fund. Everything's on you. You're running a full-fledged business.
Right.
Then you have sponsorship, which is like if you have a good list or if you have traffic, whether it's YouTube traffic, social media traffic, email list. This is how like 99% of even like Bloomberg's and all these other types of media sites make. It's all ad revenue. They get eyeballs on the site. So going to simple programmer, and most people have this question is like, how do we grow traffic? Is there strategies that you would recommend for somebody today just starting? Pretend you and I are starting out. Like, all right. John and Ameer are going to create like, I don't know, fucking crypto for dummies. I don't fucking know, whatever. Right.
Right.
What would you suggest in today's environment? Because I'll tell you what, the stuff that I did back in the day in affiliate marketing, we used to do, it doesn't work today. We used to do summits where we used to interview experts, and all the experts had products and courses, and the experts had lists. We would team up with people. We would pay money for paid traffic. We would have somebody that interviews everybody, and everybody would share the online summit to their list. But it's not really like, it's not like, it doesn't happen from day. It's pre-recorded, but you create the perception, right? But we used to be able to gather email lists from anywhere between like 50,000 to 150,000 emails within like 45 days.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah. It
doesn't really happen that today. So, what worked yesterday doesn't work today. And so let's say you and I are starting today. We know the business model. We're going to start off with some affiliate stuff to figure out what products work, what products don't work, so we can create our own products. What are some traffic strategies would you suggest for today?
So I'll start off by saying this. I think this is the key thing to think about. I always tell people this is 5 years. The minimum that you want to dedicate to being successful of anything of value is 5 years. So even though I'm going to kind of tell you the way that I would say like to start quickly, there is no such thing as quickly. Like it's basically like, if you want to be successful, you got to commit to 5 years. It's not just business, right? I mean, you want to build a good physique. You want to get good with women. You want to, whatever it is, get good at investing, real estate, whatever. It's 5 years. So just with that groundwork laid, I would say that what you really want to do is be very specific. So the thing that I always coach people on now today is try to figure out something, pick a niche so thinly sliced that you could be number one best in the world, right? That's really the key, because there's so much noise out there, right? It's not like it was, right? The thing is, and even with online courses, right? Like you've got like Udemy's and stuff, like it's driving the prices down. Like you can find anything out there. And so you have to really be the expert where people are going to in order to build any kind of traffic. Because how many people now can do a Gary Vee style releasing massive amounts of content, right? My old strategy used to be prolific as hell, That was like, and that won because no one was producing the volume of content that I was producing at that time. And if you were prolific as hell, people would figure out who you were, and you would get known. But now you have to be really, really targeted like a sniper, and you have to figure out exactly who's your audience and how can you be so specific that when they come to your site or whatever you're advising them on, or whoever your audience is, that you're the number one best in the world at that thinly sliced topic. And you can always expand out from there. A good example of this is Amazon, right? The everything store. In that book, it talks about the Amazon story, and one thing that Bezos did is that he started off just selling books. That's it. And then everyone's like, you need to sell more than books. He's like, no. First, we're going to just sell books and become like number one there. And then he expanded out to like CDs and music and video games, and then, concentric circles out. So it's the same thing, is pick one really, really specific niche and target that. And then it doesn't matter if you do YouTube or podcasts or blog posts or Instagram, or I suppose even TikTok, depending on what fits your niche better. Where's your audience at? But you pick one of those platforms and you just focus on that platform. So you're basically specializing in a specific audience segment, like niching down there, and then on a specific platform. And then you're going to be really prolific on that platform and create really good quality content. And it's still going to take time. I'm still going to tell you that it's going to take you, maybe 2 years to get to the traction point. That's what I usually say. And the traction point is when you actually start to feel like you're doing something. Like up to that time, like you're going to be producing content and you're going to be like, no one's watching my YouTube videos. Right. And I know this because I have so many coaching clients, right? I coach a bunch of coaching clients where they want exactly what you're asking. And I start YouTube videos with our YouTube channels with them. And I watch them, and I'm like, keep going. And it's like 6 months down the road, they've got 1,000 subscribers. 12 months down the road, they've got 2,000 subscribers. But a year and a half down the road, all of a sudden they got 20,000 subscribers. And then 2 years down the road, they've got 30. And that's where they start to get that. Then they're like, okay, it's actually working. But it takes that long in order to get to that point. But the faster or the more niche down you are and the more specific you can be, the faster that you'll gain that growth, right? You want to be a big fish in a small pond. So pick some small pond, and you kind of have to, there's an art to it, right? I mean, if you pick too small of a pond, there's not going to be any market there, right? So you got to figure out, okay, where are it's almost like, if you're doing keyword optimization on Google and you're like, okay, well, what is the search volume for this keyword versus what is the difficulty of it? It's the same thing in picking a market itself, right? It's like, okay, how big is this market? That's kind of like search volume. And then the difficulty is like, how specialized can I be and niche down in this that it reduces the difficulty.
Yeah, there's a great example. So I'll leave a link, but I love watching outdoor YouTube videos where they're like, how do you live in the bush?
Yeah.
I love that shit. Oh, Rocky Mountain Bush, I think it's called. And they blew up. It's like 100,000 subscribers within a month. But the thing was, they're like very fucking niche and very raw. It's like, I'm going to go, they go 30 days out in the bush, take their cameras and show you step by step exactly what they did. Like no fluff, no bullshit. And people love it. It's like, it's very niche. So not just going outdoors and not just camping. It's like who really cares about survival, like real survival. And they crush it. They fucking absolutely crush it. And there's something interesting though too. And I always tell people this, Gary Vee talks about this, and we use it in marketing. We call it the attractive character, the North Star, where we're entering a time, especially now, guys, whoever's listening, watching, especially now, people relate to people. Yeah. People want to connect with people. You need to have good EQ, and you can't just hide behind your computer. And maybe you're a good writer, but people want to know you. If people like you, they're saying know, like, and trust. So if they know and they like and they trust you, the recommendations that you give them, whether it's through affiliate links, whether it's through your own product, this is how you build a business. I think the days of ghostless, faceless corporations are slowly coming to an end. And I think we're moving back more into an artisan type of model where you don't necessarily, and another thing people understand with like an online business is people are like, I want $1 million. I'm like, forget $1 million. Get $100 first.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, where the fuck's $1 million coming from? Get $100 first. And maybe you don't want $1 million business. That creates all other types of headaches. And you got to figure out how much time you want to put in, as you 100% agree, like 5 years, like minimum, for anything in life. Like, I don't give a shit. It took me about 7 years. Like for me, I'm master SEO. That's how I built Block Geeks, and it runs by itself. It's SEO. And I spent years in that fucking industry. And so I always tell people, you'll be surprised, man, if you have some passive income and you put 2 hours a week and you can make an extra $3K a month. That's like life-changing for most people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Life-changing, especially now. Imagine having $3K.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, a couple of things that you said there are really good. One of them is, like you said, is about the $100. I call it, I call it the 10x rule, not Grant Cardone's 10x rule, but my 10x rule, which is basically you can only see so far. I think of it as like the fog of war. If you've ever played like World of War or Warcraft or Starcraft or something like that, you can only see so far, right? So I had a guy that wanted coaching from me, and he's like, I was listening to Gary Vee, and he says I should start a business and I can make 30 grand a month. And he's like, I want you to tell me how to make 30 grand a month. And I was like, I don't know. How do you make 30 grand a month? You tell me. What do you think? And he's like, I have no idea. I can't even envision it. I was like, that's right. So how are you going to do it if you can't even envision it? Like, how you can't even make a plan? I was like, but do you think you can make $100 a month? And he's like, I'm not sure. I'm like, well, think about it. Do you think you can figure out some way to make $100 a month? He's like, yeah, I think I can figure out how to make $100 a month. And so I told him, I was like, look, I'll help you make $100 a month. Once you can make $100 a month, then 10x. Then I think, do you think you'll be able to see a way to take the $100 a month and turn it into $1,000 a month? He's like, yeah, I'll be able to see the how I could do that. At the very worst case, you just do 10 times more than what you're doing now, right? And then when you're making $1,000 a month, you can see a path to $10,000 a month. And when you're making $10,000 a month, then you can see that path to 30 or 40 or 50 or 100, right? You can actually see that path, but you can't see it until you get there. And I think that's key. The other thing I'd say about, as far as the faceless brand type of thing, I think this is something I've been debating a lot with a lot of my entrepreneurial friends, because there's two roads to go, right? Like, my Simple Programmer now is not a celebrity business. I am not the spokesperson anymore. I used to be. It was my blog. It was my face all over it. It's not anymore. Bulldog Mindset absolutely is. So it's a celebrity business. And the thing about it is, like, you have to really decide, and you can change your mind later, but it's a little bit harder, is like, do you want to build a lifestyle business or do you want to build a bigger business? Because if your face is on the business, it's your charisma. So, like, people aren't buying the product, they're buying you. And that's one thing I learned. It's like, when I tried to get away from Simple Programmer, the sales tanked, right? Because people were buying me. It doesn't matter what I'm selling. They're going to buy whatever I'm selling because they're buying me. Because they're like, you need someone who's a charismatic leader that people follow, and that's what they're buying into, right?
Well, same thing with Tesla. You think people buying Tesla for Tesla the car or the shares? Right. They're buying fucking Elon Musk.
Right. And the image that he's been able to create around the thing, which I think you can possibly do with the brand, like that. That one, what's that book? The Simon Sinek book.
Starts with Y.
Yeah. So I think that's a powerful concept, but it's something to think about, really, because as I'm trying to scale the businesses now, right, one of the things that I'm realizing is that I'm holding it back. Like, with Simple Programmer, like, you have to be able to build systems, right? For example, I think your example was great with Block Geeks. It doesn't really require you. You don't have to be the face of it. Right.
No, like originally, like, I spent a shit ton of, don't get me wrong, I spent I was in the trenches, like 100 hours a week. I had a strategy, like how to build it, the business model, very early in crypto. Like, we started in 2016, so very early in crypto.
Yeah.
And it's systematized, everything's systematized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can scale it up now. Whereas if you're the face of it, if you're constantly making YouTube videos, if you're constantly, it would be really difficult in order to scale that up. So I think it's just something to think about for people that are starting a business. If I'm starting out today, I'm probably starting out as the face of the business, because it's easy. Like, the faceless corporation is harder to grow initially. It's easier to grow later on, but it's harder to grow initially, right? Whereas the lifestyle business, where you're the star of the business, the celebrity business, it's easier to grow initially, but it's much harder to grow further on, because you become the bottleneck, because you're the only person who can create content. You're the only person who can sell a thing. and and you don't have that scalable system. So
which like model that I like a lot. I don't necessarily agree with their hardcore direct response marketing, but I give them fucking respect beyond respect when it comes to knowing their shit, is Agora Publishing.
Oh yeah, yes,
they're fucking huge. Like
yeah.
old school super marketers, understand psychology to a T. But what I like about the Agora model, which if I would start something again, I would do very similar to the Agora model. I would build a media conglomerate. I would build an umbrella company, a main brand, no different than like Coca-Cola has subsidiary brand. And so you have all your focus there on this one major brand, the umbrella brand. But then you can have different faces and different representations of that media company. And then you can have subsidiaries. You can have splinter off companies underneath your one top level company. Yeah.
You know who else has done that is Dave Ramsey. So
yeah.
He's got 1,000 employees, that, and he's got multiple brands. He's got multiple people that he's got working under him that have their own audiences. Who else has done that is Robert Kiyosaki. He has a Millennial Money channel, and he's got this girl that's the host of it, and I think he's got a few of them where he's targeting those different segments. And he's actually, what was awesome, I just watched a video from him. He was a guest on it, so he was able to position himself, right? Because he's the mentor. So all these people are following this girl, they're who she's teaching him or teaching them through his brand, and then he gets to come in and get interviewed by her, and she bows down to him. You know what I mean? Because he's the big cheese, and now he gets to be positioned. So it creates like great positioning. One person who really did that well was Dan Locke. Dan Locke has been.
Dan Locke. Dan Locke, the sales guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a really good strategy too, because he would come on to, like, I did a promotion with him, and he had me come out to Vancouver and in his penthouse and whatever, and interview him and call him one of my mentors, right? Which I mean, he definitely knows a lot more than sales, but he did the positioning so clever. He did it with a lot of big YouTubers, and so if all these big YouTubers are calling him their mentor, then he just boosted his positioning way up there. But that's like, those are the kind of things you can do with a celebrity business, right? Is you can kind of play with that image. And let's talk
about a real example over here. Like, you started, how long ago did you start Bulldog?
About a year, like a little bit over a year, I'd say. The membership has only been around for 1 year. I think next month it'll be 1 year.
So I got two questions. So this is very topical for this.
Okay.
How did you strategize to start Bulldog? Because a simple programmer is completely different than Bulldog. Actually, to kind of some audience might be some of very pretty different things.
Yeah.
And your business model is very different.
Right. Exactly.
And so, how did that go about?
So there was a couple things. So one of the things was that with Simple Programmer, what I was doing was, I'm no longer a developer, right? I mean, I did software development for like 15 years, but I'm not really plugged into that community. It's not who I am. So I was starting to create more content around personal development type of stuff. And a lot of the guys that were sending me emails and stuff and asking questions were asking about dating advice and things like that. And I got to the point where, like, the Simple Programmer YouTube channel was a lot about talking about how to be a man, really. And I said, wait a minute, okay, that's like, it's kind of off brand for Simple Programmer, right? Like, I want to have that be focused, because the more focused your brand is, obviously, the better that you want to be number one, right? I want to be number one in the soft skills for software developers space for Simple Programmer. That's the key there. So that's kind of got me the idea of, okay, Bulldog mindset. I'm kind of taking my face off of Simple Programmer, but I am a kind of person that does like to be in the spotlight. I like to have a channel. I like to have, my to be directly working with people and to be the image of a company. And so that's where I came up with the idea of creating Bulldog Mindset, kind of pulling that off from there. And then sort of the idea was, okay, I bet I can build a company a lot faster this time based on all the mistakes and lessons that I've learned, right? If I have a clean start, how would I do this from scratch? And this was kind of my chance to experiment with that. So there was a couple things that stuck out. One of them was, okay, so one of the things that became really difficult with Simple Programmer is that you have all these products, right? And so eventually over time, it's almost like if you've done development work, you end up building technical debt, right? You have this cruft. It slows you down. So with Simple Programmer, I had all these products, and then I've got this email list, and then I've got all these email sequences, and I have to pitch this product and this product and that product. And then I've got 5 opt-ins here and 5 opt-ins here and all of these funnels, right? And it becomes like, if you want to make a movement in that company or change things or make a shift to the market, like, responding to Udemy and stuff like that, how do you do that? You can't change it all at once. You don't even understand all the pieces, right? So it becomes really difficult, and your messaging becomes diluted, because what are you selling now? You're selling a lot of stuff, right? There's not a real clear focus. So one of the big lessons that I took to Bulldog Mindset was simple: 1 product, 1 opt-in, 1 funnel. That's it, right? I mean, eventually, I think you can scale up from that. Actually, there's a really good book that I actually found after this called Ready, Fire, Aim.
Mark Ford.
Yes, I think that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But he talks about the idea of, like, you don't build a second product, introduce a second product in the product line until you have $1 million business first. First, you need $1 million revenue. And he's got, like, $1 million to 10 and like different levels at which you change the business. And so with Bulldog Mindset, I wanted to start clean. I wanted to figure out, okay, I'm just going to make it real simple, push people to 1 opt-in, 1 funnel, 1 product. And then the other thing that I found that was really valuable, kind of the mistake that I made with Simple Programmer is I was neglecting with Simple Programmer reoccurring revenue, right? There's actually a really good book called The Automatic Customer, which talks about this and applying it to a lot of different business models. And so that I looked at that and I said, that's what I want, is I want a reoccurring revenue, like a SaaS business is actually probably the best possible business that you could have, honestly. But aside from that, any kind of subscription based business is really good, right? Because I think one of the things that people don't realize with that is that over time your subscription base becomes better. It's like having rental properties, and it's like you have some turnover, and maybe tenants turnover every 2 or 3 years, but then every once in a while you get a grandma that lives there for 20 years, right? And then so you never have to turn over.
That's great. I build Block Geeks like that, subscription-based business with the B2B advertising. The only thing with subscription that a lot of people might not be familiar with is they really do have to pay attention to churn.
Yeah.
It's churn's real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you got to be definitely bringing in more people than are churning out every month. I mean, you'll eventually hit a stagnation point, right? It's like, that's, I think a lot of people don't think about that. It's like, it's the same thing. You have churn on the email list, right? Eventually.
Oh yeah.
Why do email lists never grow? Why do very few people have 1 million subscriber email lists? Well, because churn on the email list, every time you send an email, people unsubscribe. And so you kind of hit that equilibrium point where you're getting as many subscribers as you're getting unsubscribes. And same thing with
so you started Bulldog Mindset, complete different business. It's an online EduSaaS academy membership type of model, right?
Right.
Where you have your courses in there, you have mentorship in there. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. I pay monthly, yearly. I have access to all this stuff, plus a mentorship. That's the business model. Cool. How did you go about then driving traffic and people to Bulldog Mindset?
Okay. So again, with the idea of keeping it simple, right? One source, really one traffic source right now. It's almost exclusively YouTube at this point, right? That's where a majority of the traffic comes from. And then from YouTube, I have one call to action, really, which is to take the Bulldog quiz, right? If you go to bulldogmindset.com, you can take the Bulldog Mindset quiz. In every video, pretty much, I'm like, here, go click up on the cards or click in the link below and take the Bulldog Mindset quiz and see what your Bulldog score is, right? And from there is an email sequence that pitches the membership. And that's basically it. Right now, I've got my YouTube system down, so I'm starting to grow some Instagram on there, and I've got the website. I'm going to do a little bit of SEO. So eventually, I'll bring in more traffic streams, all to the same thing of that quiz and that one entry point into that funnel. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the main thing now, and then that's how it operates right now. And there's about actually. At the beginning of this month, there were 510 members. Now there's like 450. That subscription models are actually vulnerable to economic downturns, right? So probably more than one-time purchases. So that is one thing to keep in mind. I definitely saw a huge churn rate since the.
One thing I did on Block Geeks that kind of works is I did a combination of SaaS and one-time payment. So
Mhm.
we've been around for a while, so we roughly know our LTV.
Yep.
So no matter what, you're going to get churn. It's not like very rare you're going to have customers that stay for years and
Right.
years, unless you're like B2B enterprise legacy software. Once they're plugged in, they're plugged in. That's why it's so beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, once you're, let's say you give it like a year and a half, 2 years, you have a general idea of your CAC to LTV ratio. You understand roughly customer acquisition costs, whether that is time spent creating content, primarily then paid acquisition, so click to conversion. Then you figure out your LTV. What we started doing interesting is we started doing lifetime memberships.
Oh,
So
yeah.
once we figured out our LTV
Yeah.
X, then we just put a premium on top of that because we know for a fact that's our LTV. As long as
Right.
we can beat our LTV, we're profitable.
Exactly. Yeah. What I do is I have a monthly membership, and then I make an offer, a one-time offer, upsell for yearly. And then if you've been a member for, I think, around 2 month mark, we offer the yearly as well. So that ends up being above the LTV, right? So right now, but my only hesitation with doing a lifetime with it is I don't like I mean, I guess you can put in the clause that, if we discontinue it, obviously, but I just didn't want to be continually obligated to produce the
Yeah, there's
continually.
clause obviously, but it all depends. Like there's diminishing returns. As soon as you figure out the basic mathematics is you should be churning less than 2.5 per month. Because if you're churning 2.5% per month, that means you have to be filling in at least 5% every month on the top end because you have to recoup the 2.5 that you lost, then bring on another 2.5. So you're only really growing 2.5 per month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And then another thing people understand with SaaS, I just want to be like transparent with people, and this is all SaaS, is okay. There's software, but it works and it doesn't work. Credit card issues.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Chargebacks, card decline. And we use it all. We use like get your churn back software. We use Stripe specialized Sigma AI detection system. Like we use all the fucking bells and whistle, but still, like percentage wise, you're looking at 2 to 4% per month of credit card declines. It's just they don't work anymore.
Yeah. Even for stupid reasons, like the bank just doesn't allow subscription service from you anymore.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
odd reason. Like, and it's like they have to call their bank every time they want it, and they're not.
You know what works really well for us? We implemented a year ago, and I have no problem with it, except at least for this business. Well, other business I have, but at least for the subscriptions, PayPal.
Yeah. I offer PayPal because I do the payments through Kajabi, which actually Kajabi does a pretty good job of rebilling them, like trying again and sending the emails. But yeah, I do about I'm trying to think about half the business is probably PayPal and half of it's on Stripe. So
yeah, is there a reason because everything for the most part you guys you're doing organic traffic, you're kind of the face of Bulldog, you're on YouTube, you can send. What's great about video is syndication models. You can take that video, you can put it on Twitter, you can put it on Instagram, you can put it on YouTube, you can get it transcribed if you want to make a blog post out of it. Is there any reasons or maybe this is just a better source, but you haven't really doubled down on, like, let's say like Facebook or YouTube paid acquisition?
Actually, I was just going to address that because I saw someone was asking in the chat about if I'm doing just organic, and it's 100% organic. I tried a little bit of paid advertising, but I cannot make it work. Now, I haven't sat down and figured it out myself. I've hired probably 4 or 5 people now to try and run ads for me. And some people that were actually, like good, not just the Gary V, school of I can start a media for, or
yeah. Or the Ty Lopez, like tomorrow you're going to start a social media agency. I'm like, okay, bud.
Exactly. Yeah, or what's the consulting.com guy? I kind of like him, but he's also making a lot of these guys, minting these new social media marketing guys. But anyway, so I had some legit ones in there, and it's just, here's the problem. Here's the big problem is, I think there's 2 problems with it, but the biggest problem is that the LTV is too small, right? Because I'm only charging $30 a month for membership. And so, if someone sticks around for 6 months or 5 months, that's not a lot. So my cost per acquisition, it's got to be pretty dang cheap. Now I do offer coaching, and coaching is $1,500 a month, but it's one-on-one coaching, so it doesn't really scale up, right? So with the paid advertising, it's really hard to make it profitable. No, I think it possibly could be. I think that.
How are you running ads? Are you doing like direct? Are you doing like retargeting? Like, how's the funnels?
I've tried kind of all of the things, right? So I've tried retargeting. The problem with retargeting is it's really hard to judge whether or not it's actually working. Like, you see an increase in sales always with retargeting, but then you start to wonder, like, what is your actual cost per acquisition when you're doing retargeting? Because some of those people would have bought anyway. They would have bought on the next email that they opened from you. Like, it's like, did the ads actually cause the sale, or would you have gotten the sale anyway? So I'm kind of, hesitant on it. I don't like to derive the acquisition cost from retargeting. I want to see what happens with cold traffic. And with cold traffic, I tried both the direct to the sales page, tried through webinar. I'm going to probably test the webinar out again. And I've tried getting them to take the quiz and get on the email list, and they go through the funnel. And it's just, it's been not very good results. So what I really want to do, though, is, so with the business, I want to create a value ladder, right? So essentially, you'd have the $30 a month regular membership. You would have $100 a month business tier membership, $1,000 a month mastermind group membership, and then $2,500 for one-on-one coaching. Because then my back end will revenue, my average lifetime value for each customer will be much higher. Maybe it'd be $500 or $600 or so on average, because of some of the ones that are making the big purchases. And then that would make it so that, I could afford to spend $200-300 to acquire a customer and be profitable, not on the front end, but on the back end. So that's kind of what, then you sort of run some cash flow situations, but I don't know. At this point, though, it's sort of like the other thing I'm looking at is, it's like I'm getting so much organic traffic that it's almost like it's not really worth spending my time when my time can be spent increasing the organic traffic that I've already got going. So I don't know. I debate back and forth, but I feel like until it's sort of a waste until I increase that customer lifetime value high enough.
Yeah. Like, for me, I have different buckets. So if I'm looking at, like, I'll drop the funnel, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, like tofu, mofu, bofu. And then I'll have different verticals in there. I'll have SEO, organic traffic, long-term content creation, both video, Google, so text and video. I'd have paid acquisition. Paid acquisition can be, for me, I like paid acquisition for more brand equity as opposed to like direct sales, just getting your content out there. Then you have affiliate marketing. So you can call it partnership marketing. So sponsoring YouTubers, sponsoring podcasters, sponsoring Instagrammers. So the whole sponsorship. And then each of them has a different weight of when they'll return on ad cost. And so for me, like, my background's SEO. I'm a firm believer in first owning your racetrack. So as in this case, YouTube, you're owning your own racetrack, your own website. This is the organic content that you own. You're not paying for it. It has it's like an asset, like real estate. It appreciates over time.
Right. Yeah.
And then everything else for the most part, specifically the partnerships, like we had a good success with like, what's it called? Podcasters, like sponsoring podcasters. Cause that's like direct, you can see it directly, what type of funnel you create and the code they use, etc. But for me, I'm like very, very specific on like start SEO now. It's difficult. It's hard, but it fucking pays off.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense. I think also the other thing that makes sense in your case too is that you've got a very clear value proposition, right? With Block Geeks, because it's like, hey, I want to learn about cryptocurrency and I want to learn, like you have a very clear message. It doesn't require you. Whereas like Bulldog Mindset, I really like people have to follow me in fact, most of the people that join are like, oh, I've been following you for a year on YouTube. And it's like, I finally decided to join the membership. And it's like, well, okay, because you have to know who I am. Like I have to almost be, again, talking about the whole branding. That's one of the disadvantages is that it's really hard to do to convert cold traffic for me, because people are like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I don't know.
Man.
Like, who's this jackass here, right? Going to tell me how to be a man, right? But if you've been watching my videos for a while, they're like, okay, yeah, this guy's been giving out some solid advice, right? Obviously, you know, like I just showed you my QuickBooks, like I don't hide, like people have that level of trust, and so they'll buy. Whereas when you've got a more direct value proposition like you have there, it's you don't necessarily need the branding as much, because it's like, hey, do you want to learn crypto? Like, you have a very clear message. Okay, you want to learn this? I'll teach you this. Here it is.
Yeah. Listen, every business is different. Like my previous one that I had was the clothing line company. That was straight, pretty much affiliate type of model.
Yeah.
All right, so it's got affiliate links out there, a lot of PR, press release, like brand recognition, and like CBC, CBS, Forbes, all that shit. Direct links, and so each business has a different strategy and a different mindset of how you're going to acquire customers that want to buy something.
Yeah, I think the key is like you find something that works. There's a really good book by the guy that one of the authors is the guy that created DuckDuckGo. It's called Traction. There's two books named Traction, but this one is I can't remember his name, but he created DuckDuckGo, and it talks about the idea of like trying all these different things and then picking one of those things that's working and then doubling down on that. And it's I think that's really what you got to figure out, is like, how are you getting customers? And like for me with YouTube, you know, when someone comes to my email list, I get a 5% conversion rate off of email subscribers. So that works. That's a solid, like, so that's why I've put most of my energy into that. Whereas I've experimented with the ads, and, you know, if I got some solid results, then I'd be like, okay, I'll put more into it, and I could probably make it work, but I don't know.
Do you take your YouTube videos and make them into like a short podcast audio?
I do. I have a podcast that we basically rip the audio and turn that into a podcast. And then I have my video guys slice up the powerful segments from the YouTube videos, and we put that on Instagram. And so definitely trying to repurpose the content, but
very cool. I think that's it, man. John, I appreciate this. Thanks for being always transparent and sharing exactly what's going on. I think there's a banner button over here if you want to show people where if they can contact you or check out Bulldog Mindset.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's see. I think I don't have access to it, but
just send it to me in the chat box. I'll put it up.
Yeah, let me send it to you. So, okay. In fact, you can just put bulldogmindset.com there, and then, you know, the best thing to do is to just go and take the quiz, right? See what your score is, and I'll send you some emails on how to raise your score and what the score means, and you'll be in my funnel. You'll get to see how my sales funnel works, how I pitch you, convince you to be a man and join the Bulldogs. So
I always tell people that don't follow what people are saying, follow what people are doing. And if you find like a good model like the Bulldog Mindset, where it's like a really good funnel, like look what John did. Just like look at it, that, you know, and it's like art. And so guys, I recommend go check out Bulldog Mindset. John knows his stuff. You can see. I think we'll leave it at that, man. Once again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Ameer. I appreciate you having me on. So
yeah, my pleasure.